Hi, all. I'm Terrell Treat. My title is the treasurer. I've been with Envirothon from the start. We started in 2008. And so we've grown, we've shrunk, we've grown, COVID hit, we shrunk again. And so we're trying to grow again. And we thank you, Franny, and your team for your help in making some training happen for us on a more regular basis. So look forward to what this can turn into and how it's going to help the kids really grasp hold of a greater understanding of each of these topics. We've really never had an economic push, but man, it's needed because in each of the topics, there's always a cost. And a lot of in the past 17 years, kids don't really have a good understanding of what things cost. And, hey, let's do this big thing. It's like, well, that costs 1.2 million. How are you going to pay for that? Oh, we got to pay for that. So this will be good.
Thank you. Cynthia, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello everybody. My name is Cynthia Dunkelberger. I'm the wildlife biologist at Via de Oro in Albuquerque, and I will be helping with the wildlife portion. It's my first year working with Envirothon, so I've been learning all about it, but I'm excited to get involved and help everybody out.
Woo! Okay, we
Yay.
can hand it to our wonderful partners, Franny, Greg, Jason, however you want to introduce yourselves and get going.
I'll start, but I just wanted to say thank you guys. We're very excited about being part of this. Our natural resources economics degree is something we're really working on recruiting into, and it's always exciting to be around kids that are excited about stuff that we want to teach them. So thank you guys. I'll turn it over to Jason.
Hi, I'm Jason Menegas with Extension Economics. I mostly work at agriculture now, but I have a background in water economics and policy. So yeah, just excited to be part of this. Looking forward to supporting in any way possible that I can. And hopefully after seeing what Greg and the Sasan will do in their presentations, I'll get something together for y'all in January.
Great. Well, that leaves me. I'm your presenter today. So I'm Greg Torrell. So let's get started. Thank you for having me today. This is probably for a lot of the students something you have never thought about before, or maybe it's something that you kind of can grasp in the back of your mind but haven't had any formal training. I know I didn't when I was younger, but we're going to be talking about discount rates and the value of money over time. So first off, we're going to use today Poll Everywhere. So this will take a little bit of time for everybody to get hooked into, but it's really simple. You can take your phone or your laptop if you're in front of a laptop, point it to pollev.com/Gregory Torrell. Sorry for having such a long name for you to type, but 617. But the QR code works as well, right there in the corner. Nice and simple.
We have prizes.
Just so you can test this out, and partially just for interest, what are some of the words that spring to mind as you think of economics and forestry problems? And just type in whatever comes to your mind. There's no wrong answers here, and it will just build a word cloud as we go as you type in your answers. I like that first response of diseases. That's a big one, right? Oh, lots of fire. So pretty cool. I'm kind of impressed with these responses. It was different than I would have thought. There we go. Resources sustainability. That's a good one. Okay. So that's good. We have our test of our little poll everywhere thing, and we're good to go, looks like. So I want to start, and this is an interesting question if you've not really thought about this before, but how do we know when to harvest? Now, what seems to make the most sense is you say, well, we'll just harvest when the trees are mature, right? And is that the correct answer? Well, interestingly, a little bit of economics that you'll learn today can give us a lot of insight into how to harvest economically. And it's also going to help us understand the decisions that timber managers actually make in the real world. I also want to say at the tops, today this is focusing more on timber, but near the end we'll talk about how this is really relevant to any natural resource problem. It's not just timber, but focus in for the first time you're seeing this on timber. So here's a question for you. Think about this for a second, and you'll get to answer this on the poll everywhere. Would you rather have $100,000 today or in a year? Would you say that they're both the same amount, so it doesn't matter? Or do you think it depends? So now we can move to the poll. Okay, so these are some kind of interesting results, right? So here's what I would say on this next slide here is that you should prefer $100,000 today. And we'll talk about why that is here in a moment. So part of the reason why you would prefer $100,000 today is that you could take your money, invest it, receive interest over that same year, and you would then have more money in the end than you started with, right? Whereas if you get the $100,000 in a year, you've missed a year's worth of gains in that money. So we say that a dollar today is worth more than a dollar in the future. And that's the time value of money. And part of it is that if you don't have your dollar today, you don't control that dollar yet, right? Even if you have a promise to receive it in the future, that's not the same as having that money today. Where things get a little bit fun, this is for the students. Unfortunately, none of the adults in the room can enter into the econ game zone. Woo! All right, so on the next slide, we're going to have you buzz in. First person to buzz in gets to enter into the econ game zone. And there will be a financial prize for you. So get that phone ready. Because here we go. We're going to start the buzz in period now. By typing your name. All right, Vivi. So is Vivi able to speak? Can we talk to Vivi?
Oh, Vivi just texted me. She said she would do 10 now so she could invest it.
Okay. That makes sense, right? So that gets us to another thought here about opportunity costs. And this is if you've been in an economics class or if you will be in an economics class, this is one of the first things that you'll learn about. One, that economics is the study of scarcity. Scarcity can even include how you spend your time. You only have so many hours in the day, right? So if you, for example, choose to go to the beach, you give up the opportunity to go to class. So we can call that what we have to give up, our opportunity cost. So the opportunity cost of any action that you take is the value that you give up when you make that choice. So we can think about this in a couple different ways. One of these ways is simpler than the other, but both are important. So let's think, for example, many of you are thinking about this. Think about what does it cost to go to college for a year? And the direct costs are really obvious, right? You got the cost of the dorm, you got to buy a meal plan, books, supplies, maybe you want a new laptop. We can call those explicit costs or costs that require you to make a cash payment. But going to college also takes a lot of time. So there's homework, there's time in class. So we can consider the cost of going to school compared to going to work. You can't both attend class and work at some other place at the exact same time, right? Someone will be upset with you if you attempt that. And so we can think of those as implicit costs. So our opportunity costs include both explicit and implicit costs. So to reiterate, implicit costs require some money payments. Implicit costs don't require money payments, but generally think of those as being based in time. And opportunity costs are basically the sum of both of those costs. So here's my question to you. And again, this is just try and think of what makes sense to you based on what you've just learned. But what are the opportunity costs that a forest manager faces? What do you think? Man, these are some really good answers. Man, I feel like I'm in a room full of economists because these are exactly, they're actually, so I think someone erased an answer, or maybe it just went out of view. Someone said tools. That's a really, really good answer because especially equipment, right? Because I can sell the equipment and get out of the lumber business and have cash now. Or I can think about, well, maybe I want to keep my equipment and actually continue to manage this stand of trees, right? And so now we've thought about opportunity costs. Now we're moving towards this concept of discounting a little bit more. And we can think about, in some sense, you can think about moving money through time. So consumers and producers can move money through time by saving and borrowing. So that should read, many people save their money into the future for retirement. Or on the other side, moving money the other direction, consumers and producers can use their future income today by taking out loans to build a home or build a factory. So that makes sense. But one thing that we need to think about a little bit is that the value of money changes at different points in time. So the value of a dollar today is not the same as a dollar in the future. There's a couple reasons for that. First off, inflation, which we won't talk about too much today, which that's, big in the news right now, but that's itself complicated. And also the fact that we can take money, invest it, have more money in the future. And also, you'll see this in a few slides, but when we're thinking about natural resource problems, you don't sell a cow when it's just a brand new baby calf. You don't sell lumber when it's a 2-year-old stand of trees. It doesn't make sense, right? So what we will use is discounting, which we'll talk about here in a second, as a way to compare the value of cash flows that we receive at different times so that we're kind of doing an apples to apples comparison. And so that's where we get to this concept of present value.